Got it. Okay, welcome back. We're going to start this segment with you, Professor Westland, and talking about what you would hazard to guess would be the most transformative technology of the 21st century.
I think right now I would have to say this concept of the Internet of Things, an internet that's comprised of a lot of small and unassuming everyday objects that have embedded intelligence, but which are also networked to a much larger group of machines, some of which have a lot of intelligence, some of which are other just everyday devices. Like themselves and communicating, so that you end up with an emergent reality, an emergent machine reality that's much bigger than any of its components.
Okay. Ashish, what would your guess be?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I would say that probably the thing that's going to enable transformative growth over the course of this coming century is to be able to master the is to be able to master the control of the atom at the atom scale. So being able to manipulate molecules at that atom scale will be able to help us transform many different innovations across many different platforms.
Great. Has there been a specific breakthrough this past century in terms of research along those lines that you think has been critical?
So I'll just give one example. There's been many. Stem cell research is something that we've been able to start to control the cells at the cellular level and help regenerate arms or tissue, teeth, and you name it. We can start to actually rebuild the body from the ground up, and that's a fairly transformative innovation.
I have a question about, since this is your area of expertise, so if we look back at the 20th century, Einstein's very famous 1905 papers were really all a part of a surge to try and find the diameter of the atom. And Thomas Young, 2 centuries before, had come within about an order of magnitude of the size. Einstein was obsessed with figuring out how big the atom was. And out of this came his Brownian motion paper, which he won the Nobel Prize for, which ultimately brought about quantum dynamics and quantum mechanics, and which caused people to rethink really the way things happened at a nano scale. So that we know that the world doesn't operate. Quantum effects are really important at a nano scale. Do you see that evolving? I mean, do you see this, our reality, our sense of reality at a nano scale really evolving, just as it did in the 20th century, evolving even further in the 21st century?
That's a really great question. I think we have understood what the atom is in the 20th century, and applying that knowledge now in the 21st century will enable those transformative changes. So I think that quantum mechanics and really even things around the world of quantum computing will help us be able to accelerate the pathways that we are currently evolving and innovating. So if we just take the concept of a quantum computer, the ability for it to be able to do drug screening for us in a hypothetical or in a simulated environment could exponentially increase the rate by which we come across blockbuster drugs. So we don't have to spend $23 billion to get one drug to market. We might only spend a couple million.
Great. Daniel, your guess for the 21st century, most transformative innovation?
I think the idea of the general idea of what Ashish was talking about with sort of harnessing and applying quantum mechanics, I think will be very transformative for a number of areas. I think a big one will be energy generation, because it's sort of the most fundamental level. We can't use all these technologies. We can't create these artificial networks. We can't grow and treat stem cells and deal with patients without electricity, right? And both in terms of how electricity is generated, whether from the sun or other sort of renewable sources that are easier to deal with on long time scales. You don't need to exponentially increase the cost of your drilling equipment, right? But also energy storage, right? The battery has transformed our lives in the 20th century, and I think the extending that and innovating on that sort of the concept of energy storage, I think, will also be extremely important, because it'll allow us to have all of these, this network of things. It's literally the energy backbone for it, right? So I think that will be extremely transformative.
Cool. And with that, gentlemen, we're going to close the segment. Thank you so much for joining us. Christopher Westland, Ashish Basare, and Daniel Ecclesdorfer, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much to our audience for watching. Until next time.